I know that you've seen it before. A couple walks into a room, and before they even sit down, you notice it. The difference is subtle, but yet it's obvious. One looks older than the other, maybe 1 or 2 decades, and the other a lot younger, and instantly, a thought crosses your mind. Is this okay? Is this concerning? Does age really matter that much in love? This isn't a new debate. People have been asking these questions for years now. And depending on who you are, your answer changes. Some people see love as ageless, while others see a wide gap as a warning sign. But the truth is that the conversation isn't as black and white as we like it to be. And the reason why age gap catches attention is simple, that we notice differences. Because when two people look like peers, nobody blinks. But when that difference grows 10 years, 15 years, 20 years or more, it breaks the mold of what most people expect. And when expectation breaks, judgment usually follows. Now, part of that judgment comes from social conditioning. For generations, society has quietly set the standard for what's normal. We grew up being told what's appropriate, what looks right, what doesn't look right. Couples close in age, acceptable. Couples with a big gap, suspicious. And whether we want to admit it or not, those messages help shape the way that we view love. But beyond the appearance, people always think about the practical side. Because when the gap is wide, you normally start asking questions. Are these two even in the same place in life? One might be hitting their stride in their career while the other one is just now figuring out life. One may be planning on retiring while the other dreams of starting a family. And when the timelines doesn't match, compatibility becomes harder. And that's where the first concern come in. And the first concern is power. Because you can imagine that age often brings more life experience, more financial security, more influence. And when one partner has all of that while the other is still growing, the balance begins to tilt. Because the older partner may naturally step into a guiding role, while the other one, whether they realize it or not, may be shaped by that influence. And then there's the life stages. You can be in your mid-20s and feel unstoppable, full of energy, chasing adventure. But what happens when your partner is in their mid-40s and stability feels more important than exploration? Or let's fast forward a little bit. One of you hits 60 while the other is in their 40s. And the 60-year-old is thinking about health insurance, retirement plans, and just simply slowing down. While the 40-year-old is thinking about career growth and raising teenagers. Now, those differences don't always end relationships, but they do create challenges most couples closer in age don't even face. And another thing is society itself. Because it's not just what happens on the inside of a relationship, it's the pressure from the outside too. Because people are going to talk, friends are going to make their comments, families are going to whisper, and sometimes they outright criticize. And no matter how strong you think your relationship is, those outside voices seem to somehow creep in, creating doubt, insecurity, and even sometimes conflict. And then, of course, there's the reality of aging. It's not too romantic to think about it, but it's something that you can't ignore. And with a big age gap, one partner is very likely to age into illness, into dependency far sooner than the other one will. And that leaves one person taking on a caregiving role a lot earlier than what they expected. And let's just be honest, caregiving, as noble as it is, isn't what we signed up for when we imagine forever with our partner. But those challenges doesn't always define the relationship. Because there are some couples with a large age gap that manage to do just fine. Because we have to understand that maturity doesn't always line up with age. Because I'm pretty sure that you've met some people in their 40s who act like that they're teenagers. And you've met some people in their 20s to seem decades ahead of their wisdom. But sometimes a younger person is drawn to an older person because they connect on a mature level. While sometimes an older person feels more alive with someone younger because they share the same curiosity, the same spirit, and the same values. Oh, and values, that's another word. At the end of the day, numbers matter less than alignment. Meaning that if you share the same visions for life, if you want the same things, if you respect each other and love each other deeply, then age becomes just one factor, but not the deciding one. Because love has always ignored the rules. It doesn't always match the blueprint society lays out. And we've seen it happen before, from public figures all the way down to the couple down the street. You can find examples where relationship with gaps of 10, 20, even 30 years worked beautifully. Not because they were perfect, but because they were built on connection and not age. So now where does that leave you? Well, it depends. It depends on your own bias, your own story, the lens you use to look at relationships. Because if you grew up seeing someone exploited by a much older partner, then you're probably more cautious. But if you know a couple who made it work against all odds, you're probably a little bit more open about it. And let's not overlook that your culture also matters too, because in some places, it's almost expected for men to marry much younger women. But in other places, the age gap is frowned upon. So what feels concerning in one setting can feel normal in another one. So the real question isn't whether age gaps are universally good or bad. The real question is whether the specific relationship you're looking at or the one that you're in, is it healthy? So if you even find yourself in one, or if someone you care about is in one, these are some of the things that's worth asking. Is the relationship balanced or is it tilted? Are both people free to be themselves? Is one shaping the other too much? Do the both of them want the same things out of life, out of their future, or are they walking in opposite directions? And are they both prepared, and I mean truly prepared, for what aging will mean down the line? Because here's the truth. Age alone doesn't make or break the relationship. It's not the gap that matters. It's the foundation. So is a significant age gap concerning? It can be when it creates imbalance, when it stunts the growth of the relationship, when it's built on control instead of love. Maybe the better question isn't what's the age difference. Maybe the better question is, does the relationship make both people better, stronger, and happier? And if the answer is yes, then I leave you by saying, well then.